to Sunday school. Actually, this is my house. But since we can't be together for Sunday school at church for the next few weeks, we thought we'd bring Sunday school to you. So, hey, can you hear that noise in the background? That's my family. Since we've been home more often, we've had a lot more time to play games. And they're playing one of our favorites, Trouble. You know, when my kids were younger, when they played games, sometimes they would fight. Well, fighting reminds me of our Bible story for today. Our story is about somebody you know, David. Remember, David had 7 bigger brothers and God still chose him to be the king? And then last week we heard about how David fought Goliath. Goliath was huge. He wouldn't even fit in the basement of our church, and yet God was with him and helped him win the battle. Well, today we're going to hear about David and Nabal, and they did not get along. But Nabal's wife, Abigail, was used by God to do something really awesome. Okay, this is a quieter place where we can hear the Bible story. Any guesses what book of the Bible we're in? That's right, still 1 Samuel. And we're starting at chapter 25, verse 2. Then David moved down into the desert of Maon. A certain man in Maon who had property there at Carmel was very wealthy. He had 1,000 goats. 1,000 goats? That's a lot of goats. And 3,000 sheep, yikes, which he was shearing in Carmel, which is like when they take off their wool. His name was Nabal, and his wife's name was Abigail. She was an intelligent and beautiful woman, but her husband, a Calebite, was surly and mean in his dealings. When David was in the desert, he heard that Nabal was shearing sheep. Now, shearing sheep was kind of a big deal. Like, they kind of had a party. There was lots of snacks, and there were people, and they had a whole bunch of fun. It was kind of like Super Bowl Sunday. So, David sent 10 young men and said to them, "Go to Nabal at Carmel and greet him in my name. Say to him, 'Long life to you, good health to you and to your household, and good health to all that is yours.' Now I hear that it is sheep shearing time." Lots of snacks. "When your shepherds were with us, we did not mistreat them, and the whole time they were at Carmel, nothing of theirs was missing. Ask your own servants, and they will tell you. Therefore, be favorable toward my young men, since we come at a festive time." Snacks. "Please give your servants and your son David whatever you can find for them." When David's men arrived, they gave Nabal this message in David's name. Then they waited. Nabal answered David's servants, "Who is this David? Who is the son of Jesse? Many servants are breaking away from their masters these days. Why should I take my bread and water and the meat I have slaughtered for my shearers and give it to men coming from who knows where?" David's men turned around and went back. When they arrived, they reported every word. David said to his men, "Put on your swords." So they put on their swords, and David put on his. About 400 men went with David, while 200 stayed with the supplies. One of the servants told Nabal's wife Abigail, "David sent messengers from the desert to give our master his greeting, but he hurled insults at him. Yet these men were very good to us. They did not mistreat us, and the whole time we were out in the fields near them, nothing was missing. Night and day they were a wall around us all the time we were herding our sheep near them. Now think it over and see what you can do, because disaster is hanging over our master and his whole household. He is such a wicked man that no one can talk to him." Abigail lost no time. She took 200 loaves of bread. 200 loaves of bread? That's a lot of bread. 2 skins of wine, 5 dressed sheep, 5 seahs of grain, roasted grain, 100 cakes of raisins, raisin cake, and 200 cakes of pressed figs, and loaded them on the donkeys. Then she told her servants, "Go ahead, I'll follow you." But she did not tell her husband Nabal. As she came riding on her donkey into a mountain ravine, there was David and his men, descending toward her, and she met them. David had just said, It's been useless, all my watching over this fellow Nabal's property in the desert, so nothing of his was missing. He paid me back evil for good. May God deal with David, be it ever so severely, if by morning I leave alive one man who belonged to him. David was really mad at Nabal. When Abigail saw David, she quickly got off her donkey and bowed down before David with her face to the ground. She fell at his feet and said, "My lord, let the blame be on me alone. Please let your servant speak to you. Hear what your servant has to say. My lord, pay no attention to that wicked man Nabal. He is just like his name. His name is Fool, and folly goes before him. But as for me, your servant, I did not see the men your master sent. Now, since the Lord has kept you, my master, from bloodshed, and from avenging yourself with your own hands, as surely as the Lord lives and as you live, may your enemies and all who intend to harm my master be like Nabal. And let this gift, which your servant has brought to my master, be given to the men who follow you. Please forgive your servant's offense, for the Lord will certainly make a lasting dynasty for my master, because he fights the Lord's battles. Let no wrongdoing be found in you as long as you live. Even though someone is pursuing you to take your life, the life of my master will be bound securely in the bundle of the living by the Lord your God. But the lives of your enemies he will hurl away from the pocket of a sling. When the Lord has done for my master every good thing he promised concerning him and has appointed him leader over Israel, my master will not have on his conscience the staggering burden of needless bloodshed or of having avenged himself. And when the Lord has brought my master success, remember your servant." David said to Abigail, "Praise be to the Lord God of Israel, who has sent you today to meet me. May you be blessed for your good judgment and for keeping me from bloodshed this day and from avenging myself with my own hands. Otherwise, as surely as the Lord God of Israel lives, who has kept me from harming you, if you had not come quickly to meet me, no one male belonging to Nabal would have been left alive by daybreak." Then David accepted from her hand what she had brought him and said, "Go home in peace. I have heard your words and granted your request." When Abigail went to Nabal, he was in the house holding a banquet like that of a king. He was in very high spirits. She told him nothing until daybreak. Then in the morning, when Nabal was sober, his wife told him all these things, and his heart failed him, and he became like a stone. About 10 days later, the Lord struck Nabal, and he died. When David heard Nabal was dead, he said, "Praise be to God, who has upheld my cause against Nabal for treating me with contempt. He has kept me, his servant, from doing wrong, and has brought Nabal's wrongdoing down on his own head." Then David sent word to Abigail, asking her to become his wife. His servants went to Carmel and said to Abigail, "David has sent us to you to take you to become his wife." So she bowed with her face to the ground and said, "Here is your maidservant, ready to serve you and wash the feet of my master's servants." Abigail quickly got on a donkey. Oh, she liked donkeys. Got on a donkey and, attended by her 5 maids, went with David's messengers and became his wife. So Abigail was really used by God to keep the peace, to make things better for Nabal's family. And there's some things that we can do to make things better. You have an awesome email in your email inbox of one of your family members, and in it, it tells you about making a card or a picture for someone. And as you probably know, they're people in the nursing home. We can't go visit them right now because we're trying to keep them healthy. And some of them are probably feeling kind of lonely and sad. And so if you make a really awesome picture and you know somebody in the nursing home who might like a little cheering up, that would be really great to send that to them. And if you don't know somebody in the nursing home, you can send your awesome picture to church, and we'll make sure somebody in the nursing home that needs to be cheered up gets it. Okay? That's a great way to show God's love for people and to show God how thankful you are that he loves you and he takes care of you. Now, I'm going to miss you guys. I like seeing you on Sunday morning, but I want you to be watching for the video again next week. God's blessings.